I want to talk about episode 9 of Love Scout. I think of this show as my comfort K-drama right now. I got a few that I'm watching, but this one has been consistently really good. But I am going to have a mini rant about episode 9. Hi, I'm Monique. I am the host of Off by Purple Art podcast, where I talk to you about K-dramas, C-dramas, BTS, and so much more. And for Love Scout episode 9, which we'll be going into some spoilers, I was so happy that we were finally getting the dating era of Eunho and Ji-yoon, or Mrs. Kang. I just like calling her Mrs. Kang, but I was so happy that we finally hit that point where their feelings were so transparent, and I've been loving how Ji-yoon in particular has been so blunt and straightforward about her feelings, and it's been really enjoyable just seeing a female character like this. I like that she can be vulnerable and tough as nails, and I was really happy just how Eunho was able to step in and protect her from CEO Woo, the jerk father of Jun-hyuk, who is Director Woo in her company Peoples, who has this secret harboring crush on her, but was not so secret. He was pretty bold about his crush on her, but she never really reciprocated his feelings. And the fact that the CEO Woo was trying so hard to get them to get together and to have her marry him, only for her to completely maintain her stance that she's not interested, and she essentially sees him like a friend and a colleague. And the fact that the CEO Woo thought of that as a way that he can consistently disrespect her and disregard her talent. The way he dressed her down at that party scene had my blood boiling. And just the way the whole boys club atmosphere was, and how the other men kind of laughed, and it was just very infuriating to watch. And I'm sure it's probably very it's very understanding for certain women who are in certain spaces, just how demoralizing and belittled that you can feel in situations like that, and the fact that you can't fully say what you want to say. But I love how Eunho, I think he knows that she can handle herself, but because he's so in love with her, he has to naturally protect her and provide that level of comfort when he can. And the way he slid in was just super sexy. That man is fine. I'm so sorry. I love looking at that man. Anyway, back to the point. I just love that moment. I loved him protecting her, and the way Director Woo, Jung-hyun, was just like standing there like a gaping fish. Like, he had his little feeble attempts at trying to stop his father. And yes, I realized later in the episode he kind of stands up to him, but in that moment I was so infuriated with him. I'm like, you're in love with her, but you're gonna let your father dress her down like this? Really? Say something, man. Speak up. So I'm glad that Eunho was there, and Eunho set those boundaries. Of course, Mrs. Kim had to have her little 2 cents in the following scene that they had together, where they're once again being put in direct competition with one another. Every time that actress slithers onto the screen, I have to give her kudos, because I despise that character. She's playing the antagonistic role very well. I know it's because she is marred with so much insecurity, and she knows the hand that she had to play in that tragedy that has been kind of plaguing our main female lead's mind, and just how their entire business relationship kind of dissolved, and she seemingly doesn't carry any remorse towards her actions in that, and everything that fell apart, and the way she enjoys making her squirm and enjoys putting her on the spot. I just love that Eunho, with his essentially his background in psychology, can immediately clock her for who and what she is very quickly and dress her down while still maintaining an air of sophistication and class. Like, I like the cut of his jib, you know what I'm saying? But the romance era was really all that I was looking for. Like, that kiss, oof, that was good. Oh, it was everything. So there was a lot of elements I enjoyed about this episode. But then they couldn't let us have our happy couple era for too long, and they immediately switched gears. I am really not a fan when K-dramas do the whole past childhood connection to justify why our main leads are deserving of being in a relationship together. There always has to be some past connection. And honestly, I just don't think it's needed. In this show, it's been so wonderfully adult and so wonderfully quiet in its warmth, and it's been such a great testament to the actors' work and chemistry that a lot of the most amazing moments between them is when they don't even share any dialogue between them. They can just look at each other. The entire room is electrified. Their romance and just everything from Mrs. Kang's past would have been enough, plus everything from Eunho's past and his unceremonious firing and the resentment that his colleague turned boss has towards him, and that coming back and bubbling to the surface. All of that, plus Beol and her budding relationship with Ju-hyun and everything else, I think would have been enough. Having that child-passive connection, and I understand it's a big part of the story, and obviously the night terrors and some of the resentment and sorrow that Ji-yeon has towards her father and her grieving process, which I don't really think she's come to terms with, and probably could use therapy, which I consistently say in a lot of these shows. These shows could really have some therapy sessions for some of these characters. But it holds a lot of heaviness within her, and I knew that they were going to use this as a way to put a little bit of a barrier between the couple. I'm just sad that we couldn't even have one full episode of them truly being comfortable and bold in the relationship. We have the few moments of levity. We had director Woo get drunk and him challenge Eunho into an arm wrestling match so he could get his little ego boost because he was feeling beat down, because it really cemented his mind that yes, Ji-yeon was not interested in him, was not going to be interested in him, was not going to marry him. No, she is fully enamored with Eunho to the point where she can't help but call him cute like every 0.5 seconds, which I adore. But having that childhood trauma come back into play, and that dark cloud that was hanging over Eunho and Ji-yeon in particular when they had their first outing as a trio with Beol, her and her cute little date with her, and it was so cute. I was wanting that moment so much, and for the first moment that all three of them can appear on screen together and fully enjoy each other's company had to be, a little bit bitter because of the rising tension within Eunho, because the amount of guilt that he feels. Understandable. It's pretty accurate to his character depictions thus far, and we do know how much trauma this has caused Ji-yeon, but still, like, the few moments of levity that we got to me wasn't enough. And now we have to go into the childhood stuff. So that's kind of like my little mini rant about the episode. But as a whole, I still enjoy the show. I still think it's such a strong debut for a romance drama just right at the beginning of the year. I'm still ensnared with it. I'm just a little disappointed towards the end. But I did see the previews. I usually try not to watch the previews for next episodes, especially because this week I think the other episode was delayed. So we'll probably get 2 episodes next week. But I watched it, and I'm glad that there was, hope around the corner for a couple. So I'm hoping and thinking they're not going to drag out at least this conflict for too long at episode 10. But I believe this is 12 episodes, which tells me episode 11 is going to be one hell of a dark night of the soul, which I'm probably not going to enjoy any more so. But those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts about Love Scout, the current episode that just aired? Are you feeling the same way, or were you just so wrapped up in that super hot kiss that they had? I'm like, oh, these actors are so good. Damn, Eunho is fine. I'm gonna go off into La La Land. Let me know your commentary if you're watching the video format of this podcast via YouTube, and definitely via Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. Spotify in particular too, they have revamped their whole platform, so I believe the video podcast, you can see it as you're listening to the audio. if the spirit moves you. So interact with that platform. Definitely interact with Apple Podcasts as well. If you have any thoughts and feedback, I am always interested. I've been a little bit behind in catching up some of my comments sections, but I'm going to get back to replying because it is my favorite part. No matter how busy I get with, real life shenanigans, I do enjoy my entertainment and I enjoy feedback. I enjoy healthy discourse. It makes a lot of this fun for me. Until the next episode, bye.